right behind you, John. If you
Fish. Here comes the second one for the boat. Oh,
nice
my.
trout.
Oh, my. This
nice
is a big
trout.
Jeez, the big one here. Oh, that is nice. Oh, man. That is yeah, tiny little chartreuse bait. Let this one go. Hey, what's up, folks? You've been fishing in February? It's been a rough February around here in Louisiana. More so than last February. We had a really good February last year. Man, this year it's been rough with these north winds. We've had north winds blowing almost every week, blowing all the water out, dirty low water. Been a lot of rain. I never fished so much in the rain as I did this year. Man, it's just been raining. And that Mississippi River is coming up. It's swooping up to flood stage and dropping down, and then they're predicting it to go back up again. I don't think we're going to escape another Bonacary opening this year. I just think it's going to be in the cards for us. There's just so much rain, so many storms going through the Midwest and up through there that I think we're going to see all that dirty river water again. So been seeing a few trout around, not really concentrated very well, and not really very many big trout, other than the trout you saw in the opening clip there that I caught last weekend. That was a nice trout. I was really glad to get that trout. It was 19 inches, so it's not a huge trout, but that's a big trout now for the areas that I fish. Used to be that it was 24 inches. That was probably about 3-4 years ago. It was 24 inches, and then it slipped down to like 20 inches. And I mean, frankly, now an 18-inch trout is a big trout in the areas that I fish. So 19-inch trout, man, I'm excited. Yeah, this month's been crazy with the trout. I mean, we haven't had enough sustained cold weather to get the water temperature down, so really concentrate the trout in the deep water. So the trout are deep, and then they're going shallow in the flats, and then they're going deep in the Mr. Go, and then they can't settle anywhere. And I've just been chasing them up and down, up and down. You know, having some good luck in some shallow ponds up in the marsh, and a little bit along the Mr. Go deeper and ledges, but they just not concentrating. But I'm really looking forward to the trout, starting to school up in these really shallow inner marsh ponds. That's where I'm going to be looking for them in the next few weeks, if we can get these storms to calm down and these north winds. And then this week's not going to be any better. It's just more strong north winds. It's going to be dirty water, probably low in the marsh, so it's not going to be any good. It may take 2-3 weeks before the trout will show up there in those shallow ponds, and if it goes too long, I'm afraid they may just skip that, and then they're just going to keep moving out to the bigger lakes. So hope not, because last February we had a really good time in those inner marsh lakes, and there were some nice trout in there. So hoping to see that again in 2020. But anyway, wow, last weekend, that was crazy. I've never seen the water so low in the marsh. And this is actually not even the worst of it, because when it got really low, I was afraid to get down off a plane, because where I normally drive, there were seagulls walking through places that I would normally drive, and if I drop down off a plane, I'd start getting in the mud, and that's saying a lot when you drive a skinny water flats boat. That is really low. I mean, I kept expecting to see the children of Israel crossing around the next bend. It was insane. There was a lot of bait in the Mr. Go. That's a really great thing to see. I think there were a lot of pogies. I mean, I could see the pelicans, picking them up sometimes, cormorants, loons are going down and bringing up a fish with a profile of a pogie, or maybe they were skipjack shad, something like that. But a lot of schools on the sonar, and incredible, a lot of birds around, a lot of activity, but just not much in concentrated trout. There were some small trout, but just didn't see a lot of concentrated trout. I mean, there's crazy buzzards sitting around. Man, I think they were there for the fishermen that were stranded in the marsh without sea tow. It was brutal out there. I've never been out there when it's that low. I mean, it was like driving through canyons instead of bayous. And there were raccoons running around in these mud flats, just eating whatever. It was insane. And man, I made one wrong turn. I was following, you know how you follow GPS, but you can't tell sometimes exactly what the turn is. And I took a wrong turn, took the little cut into a pond before the cut to the bayou. In a second, I was driving in. I mean, there was no water there. And I got the boat turned around, but then we bogged down, stopped. Man, I'd never been stuck like that in my boat. And we poled and pushed with the pole and tried to pull it with the trolling motor. We weren't going anywhere. We were just stuck solid. I think the mud suctioned us down in there. And finally, I put the outboard back down again and just plowed through the mud, pushed us out of there. I hate to do that because you're sucking in all that mud in your outboard, but man, I'd have been getting my sea tow membership card out otherwise. Anyway, I got over to the Biloxi boat show as well. That was fun. I got a chance to go over there. I think I'm going to buy this boat, it's a fountain boat. It's so I can really get stuck in the marsh. Yeah, not. But I got to spend some time with Chris Bush and the Speckled Truth gang over there. See my hat. Bought a hat. They got nice apparel. Also got some of these Pro Series corkies that Speckled Truth was selling over there, and picked out specifically for me by Chris Bush for my trip to Texas next month, looking for big trout down there. So he picked out some corkies and double D's that might work well where I'm going. Excited about that trip. Hopefully to get some actual big trout. But yeah, if you don't know the Speckled Truth organization, I'll link to them there. Really good organization. Those guys are legit big trout fishermen, a lot of experience, and they also know about the science behind speckled trout and breeding, and they put the time in to understand that, and also the conservation angle. So the best people to be concerned about conservation of speckled trout are the anglers themselves, because we have the most to lose and gain from the conservation and the way that the trout stocks are managed. So if you haven't watched my 4-part series on the Louisiana trout assessment, check it out. I'll link to that also. There's going to be a lot of discussions coming up about that, and I'm going to be attending some meetings myself. So hope you can get out there as well. Maybe attend some meetings in Louisiana, the meetings set up by Wildlife and Fisheries, and hear what they have to say. Maybe hear what your fellow anglers have to say, and let's put some thought into management so we can do something good for ourselves and the next generations as well. So that's what my February has been like. Hey, hit the like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you next week.